Right. So it's been a couple of days since Dave Rennie was confirmed as the new All Blacks head coach. And yeah, back as you recall, at the time I couldn't quite comment on what's going to happen. In terms of who he's going to hire as part of his coaching team or what he's going to do, what he brings. So yeah, now I've had a little bit more time to look into that. So I thought, yeah, I'd share some of my thoughts and, in terms of who I think Dave Rennie will hire as, hired to be part of his coaching team. Though I have no sources. This is just really based on, what he, on past experience, or what he's done with the Wallabies, with the Chiefs. Just bear in mind as well that he did leave the Chiefs in 2017, and also kind of, I guess, speculating on players who might be available. Could some legends be coming back to the All Blacks? So this is really sort of like my view, my take on what's going to happen with the All Blacks under Dave Rennie. So obviously the first is trying to get that coaching team underway. Now I guess first things first, with the situation with Dave Rennie is, of course, he's still coaching in Japan. He's coaching Kobe Steelers in the Japan League One, and they're doing really, really well there. So he is pretty much committed to that job. So it's not like he's gonna. So in short, it's not like he's not gonna have for 3 months to just watch Super Rugby, watch New Zealand rugby players. He does have a full-time job to commit to, and I'd expect he'd want to see it right way to the end. On that note, by the way, this was going to be the last season on his current contract with Kobe Steelers, so maybe that might have tilted things in his favor when it came to New Zealand Rugby choosing their net head coach, because I guess Jamie Joseph was pretty much contracted to the Highlanders, whereas Dave Rennie effectively a free agent. So, but I don't think there was going to be much there. It's also that, but it certainly makes things easier because I guess in terms of paying compensation. But yeah, anyway, back to the topic though. I guess with Dave Rennie is still pretty much doing his current day job, so he's not really gonna have too much time to look at other coaches and all that. So I think there's gonna be an element of both New Zealand Rugby and Dave Rennie looking at the tried and true. So and to be fair, the tried and true is still rather strong when it comes to Dave Rennie. If you look at what he achieved with the Chiefs and the personnel that he had, the team that he had, they've actually, in fact, some might say, since he left the Chiefs, that very same personnel have improved in terms, have they become even more desirable in terms of international experience. One example I'll start off with is Neil Barnes. Of course, he's currently coaching Taranaki. He does have international experience. He was involved with Canada, most recently with Fiji, and I think there might have been a viral clip of him with a few choice words. But Neil Barnes is a very, very an extraordinary coach, a very, very talented coach. As you can see at Taranaki now, they are one of the powerhouses in the NPC. And not only that, they have quite a few All Blacks, players in the All Blacks. So, and does that mean like someone like Jaden Lennox or Josh Jacob or Josh Lord, does that increase their chances of being in the All Blacks? Probably not. But look, Neil Barnes is I think Neil Barnes is actually one of the most sought after coaches, and I think the other thing is I think he had some time with Wales with with he sorry, not apologies, no, he had some of his time with former Wales coach Warren Gatland, so he is someone who is very highly rated, and I think he's almost certainly one person who I think the All Blacks really need to get into. And I'm sure, Rennie and Neil Barnes, I mean, Barnes could be sort of like the wise man like Joe Schmidt or Wayne Smith was. I think Neil Barnes, I mean, it'll be a shame for Taranaki, of course, but I mean, when you have the chance to be involved in the national setup, I mean, you can't really say no, especially, I mean, Neil Barnes is a little bit later on in his year, so this might be his only chance to be with the All Blacks. So, and I think appointing Neil Barnes would be, that's actually one of the things New Zealand Rugby need to do in the next couple of months. The other person I think that New Zealand Rugby needs to secure is Tom Coventry. And I guess this is a good time to talk about the way the Chiefs play their rugby. I should say the Chiefs under Dave Rennie and how they played their rugby and what their strengths were. And the biggest strength the Chiefs had was being able to dominate the breakdowns, and that, which is, I think that, by the way, that's something as an All Blacks fan you would be really looking forward to, because that's been a real issue in the last couple of years. Look, I know obviously rules have changed since the Chiefs won their two Super Rugby titles in 2012 and 2013, but no doubt that is that is a area that really needs to be looked at, and Dave Rennie is definitely the person to help there. And also this Tom Coventry, of course, he was pretty much the part of that Chiefs that Chiefs coaching staff when they had that success in 2012 and 2013. Of course, Coventry, of course, he's since leaving the Chiefs, he's gone on to coach. He's been involved with Samoa. He's had some time in North Harbour. He was involved with the Blues. He's currently the assistant coach in Moana Pacifica. So he is like Neil Barnes. He is I think being in the sort of the New Zealand rugby environment, the immediate New Zealand rugby environment makes him quite easy to tap. And again, I mean, if New Zealand is calling, if the All Blacks are calling, you wouldn't say no. And I think Tom Coventry is one of the really underrated coaches. And the other thing, of course, like you look at the way the Blues, he got help. He was a key component to the Blues getting that Super Rugby success, which people forget because it was during the COVID times. And of course, when we had two Super Rugby comps, but so I think Tom Coventry and Neil Barnes, they're the two targets for me to at least fill two of those positions. Other members to consider, let's look at probably some names that probably won't get be in there. They've already pretty much confirmed that they will be saying no. I mean, Wayne Smith has pretty much said no. Although, mind you, he has said no in the past, so never write that off. We know Tony Brown's obviously with Jamie Joseph not being head coach. I think that is pretty much we can put that away. Joe Schmidt, of course, committed to Australia until the end of the Rugby World Cup, whether it's permanent or consultant. I mean, look, there's been talk about Steve Hansen but I think that is gonna be that's probably not going to happen. Possible inclusions. I think the word is that for current forwards coach Jason Ryan might very well be the only coach that is going to be retained from the previous regime, which actually means he was actually forwards coach in the previous regime under Ian Foster. look, obviously that's just a testament to how, the ability of Jason Ryan as a forwards coach, and he certainly transformed that All Blacks forward pack. During that tricky time, of course, when they lost the series to Ireland. Then they came back, beat South Africa in Johannesburg, and I think it's for a set of continuity. Jason Ryan, it's a very good chance that Jason Ryan will stay back, and I think he is a decent coach. So I think it's certainly I think there's a very, very good chance Jason Ryan would stay as forwards coach, and which I guess leads me, speaking of skills coaches, one other name that I should probably bring up. Andrew Strawbridge. He's currently the skills coach of England, but he is certainly a man who's worked a lot with Dave Rennie at the Chiefs. Of course, nearly had that life or death situation when he was working with the Chiefs. Of course, he had contracted sepsis as well. I think he was in Samoa. He was in hospital. Lost, of course, when he was recovering, had that eye patch. He's made a full recovery since that time. A really, really, really top person and a top coach who obviously knows his stuff. Look, I know, obviously, it's a bit weird saying this after England got hammered by Ireland at Twickenham, but of course, that's not, I don't think that is really just down to Andrew Strawbridge. Of course, and although, as I say, he is currently with England Rugby, so I kind of met, and he's not only that, he is one of Steve Borthwick's most trusted lieutenants. So I can't imagine England will be letting him go that easily. So in that case, not Leon. Could Leon McDonald? Could this be Leon McDonald's chance to be involved with the All Blacks? Of course, if you remember, Leon McDonald was appointed as an assistant under Scott Robertson, and then he left. It was likely down to clashes in thinking, but at the moment he's a consultant with the Western Force, which makes him even more easy to get for Dave Rennie. And I certainly I certainly would imagine that Leon McDonald would relish being back in the All Blacks, and the work he's done with the Blues, with the backs, certainly cannot be underestimated, and that's the other thing that really, an issue with the All Blacks with the backs is that they were a bit static, a bit unimaginative, poor decision making. Could Leon McDonald be I'm not saying Leon McDonald's the panacea to solving that, but I think he'd certainly be someone that Dave Rennie would want to consider bringing on into his coaching staff. Oh yeah, actually there's another name I'd mention, Jeff Parling, who did work with Dave Rennie at the Wallabies. He's gone on to become the head coach at Leicester, so I don't think he's going to come to coach the All Blacks. So in short, to summarize, I think for me a definite and a very good chance. Don't be surprised if they're named Neil Barnes, Tom Coventry, as Dave Rennie's assistants, Jason Ryan to be retained as forwards coach. I think that would form a very, very strong coaching quad, if you will. I think we have a quick word about players. Look, obviously we know in terms of the All Blacks, New Zealand Rugby, with disappointment of Dave Rennie, I think and David Kirk, head of the New Zealand Rugby board, has come out and said that they're all about winning. They're really going all out to win the 2027 Rugby World Cup and be number one again. So that really opens, could that open the door for, key All Blacks to return? Obviously, Richie Mo'unga is due to return. So anticipate him getting a lot of airtime. I guess the other name that's really been bandied around is Brodie Retallick. Now, of course, Brodie Retallick has been playing under Dave Rennie at Kobe Steelers for the last couple of seasons, and he is actually still looking really, really good. Look, obviously the Japan's League One much improved comp as it is, but it's nowhere as physical as like Super Rugby or the European comps. But having said that, Rhodey Retallick is one of our best locks. He's still playing at a reasonably high level, and he's also had the chance to take a break. And so could I'm not saying Brodie Retallick should be a starting lock, but with the experience there, could a return to the All Blacks not be the it's not as far-fetched as it seems. And I think that is a very, very good chance that Brodie Retallick could be tapped for like one final swan song before he hangs up his boots for good. He's 36, which no, of course, but there's a lot of athletes have gone on to perform very well in their 40s, and it looks like Retallick obviously had that time off with that serious shoulder injury, but he's still he still looks like he could offer the All Blacks. And look, I know I've said many times that lock is a position that the All Blacks are very strong, but we could use that experience in Brodie Retallick. Obviously, that brings up other names like Aaron Smith. Sam Cane. Could you even tap Sam Cane, TJ Paranara? Bit tricky on those things, I think, but yeah, I think so. I think we'll just have to watch this space. And look, there's going to be skeptics that say, look, bringing back Brodie Retallick, what does that say to our young generation? Look, I think at the end of the day, we've got, if you can get a legend like, and he is a legend like Brodie Retallick, or, if you can get Nuggie back into this All Blacks, that's something you can't say no to. And look, I have thought about doing another video, because there has been talk about the massive changes to the international rugby calendar, with possibly the rugby championship moving to February and March. Does that mean we might have to sweet talk to Japan rugby and perhaps open up, allow our All Blacks to play in Japan, because we can't just have them call if going into if the rugby championship starts February? But that's for another different video. This is my thoughts on what's going to happen with the All Blacks, with the coaches, with Dave Rennie, with players, and what type of rugby to expect. But I think it is a couple of days out. I think as an All Blacks fan, you're feeling rather excited now, and I think there's a bit of sense of optimism there. No disrespect to Scott Robertson, who I think is still a fine coach and a fine human being, but I think obviously there's the culture issue there. And I think Dave Rennie, with obviously while he is Cook Island Maori, he does I think he is more likely to get it in terms of the aspects of the Maori culture. And look, people poo-poo that, but it is the reason why the All Blacks have been the standard bearers, not just in rugby but in sport. The sort of like whenua and mana and all that, Wairua, mana and all that. So I think I think Dave Rennie, if it was not Jamie Joseph, Dave Rennie certainly will get it. But what are your thoughts on would like to hear your thoughts, I should say. What's going to happen with the All Blacks? Who do you think New Zealand Rugby at Dave Rennie should tap to join that All Blacks coaching team? And which former, current former players, I should say, should Dave Rennie tap to take part in his All Blacks teams for of course, there's the big tour to South Africa later this year, and of course there's the Rugby World Cup. So I'd like to hear your thoughts, and if you like this video, if you like, don't forget to subscribe.